Varanid? Varanid? How do you say that? Hello? You're mute.
Hello?
Yeah, Varanid?
Yeah, very nice.
Good. Have you got a camera?
I do, but I'm in a dark area right now. It won't pick up.
Oh, all right. Are you active? I don't recognize your name. Have you?
I'm new on the Discord channel. I've been watching your videos for the last probably 2 weeks. I set up a tank right before I found you, actually, using a method that I used a long time ago. And really, I failed last time, but I know why I did. I started reading on forums about needing all these fertilizers, CO2. I had my tank loaded down with plants, and I was dumping fertilizer in it
Oh dear.
all the time,
Yeah.
and it just all my plants died because they got hair algae and blackbeard algae and all this on it.
Huh.
I mean, it was bad. It looked like a solid mass of algae in there. I couldn't get it out. Couldn't get it to
So
stop growing.
So what have you done?
Right now, I've got a 20-gallon tank. I put about an inch to an inch and a half of potting soil. I didn't add any supplements. And I've got probably about 2 inches of sand on top of it, maybe an inch and a half. I'm not sure. I'll probably add some more sand when I get back. I'm out of town. I've been out of town since I set the tank up. It's planted with. Uh, I have hair grass, dwarf hair grass. I have some red root floaters on top. I've got some Java ferns. I've got a couple of Amazon swords. I've got a lot of other stuff. I don't remember exactly what all I planted.
Nice. So you're getting it back together.
Yeah, I did that I guess it was probably 15 years ago, and I have not set up a tank since.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, well, I set up a saltwater, and I was going to do the reef thing, and it got way too expensive, way too quick, and I was like, I can't afford this hobby.
You know, you can
But
do saltwater exactly the same way. Start out with an inch of dirt. Where do you live? Are you
I live
near?
in Alabama.
Yeah, that's if you can get to the ocean or the Gulf, you can collect some live sand and live dirt from there, even the water, and set it up the same way with 2 inches.
Yeah, at the time, I was going by advice on all the different forums, and everybody was like, "Oh, don't even use live rock. Get like dry rock and put it in there, and put only what you want in there. Don't add anything else. Don't even seed it with live rock." And I was like, "Okay, that don't really make sense."
Right.
But I did it, and it basically just sat there for a while because I couldn't afford all the things they told me I needed.
Yeah.
I mean, they were telling me to buy like $300 and $400 lights, and which I bought the lights. But by the time I got everything I needed that they said I needed to start a reef tank, my lights had died
Oh my.
because I mean it was going to take years to get it set up because I'm not rich, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we set them up the same way we set up our freshwater deep substrate. Put an inch of dirt, 2 to 3 inches of sand. You need a little more sand, and then try to get some rocks or plants or something from the sea or from somebody who's got a tank or
Yeah,
a shop where you can get stuff pretty cheap.
yeah. Well, I had a
Doing it that way, and it works. It makes it real easy.
I went to Garf. I've heard you mention them before. I went to them and I read most of the articles they had. So I decided to set up a deep sand bed,
Oh, cool.
but it wasn't really that deep. It was only like 2 inches deep.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
not
showed a
even
picture.
2 inches
I
is an absolute minimum.
I showed a picture on a forum, and they were like, "You got way too much sand." They're like, either do a bare bottom or put some glue on the bottom and dust it with sand where it looks like you've got sand.
Oh my God.
So I was like,
Yeah, that's sad.
okay. Yeah. But I couldn't find reliable information, and everything I did, everybody would tell me it was wrong and this, that, and the other. Uh, but anyway, I'll probably set up a reef way down the road. I'm not ready for that right now.
So you say you've got a 20 set up,
Yeah, yeah, I've got a 20 high set up.
and you got soil in it and sand,
Yes.
but you got a couple inches of sand on top of your soil.
Yeah, I've got at least a 1.5. It might be two. I put gravel on the very very front along the glass. I was going to cap it all with gravel because my wife didn't look that doesn't like the dirt look. But when she came in, she said she liked the sand better, so I left the gravel around the very edge of the tank. I mean, it's thin. It's just for looks. Uh,
Right.
but it's got either an inch and a half or 2 inches of sand. I'm probably going to add more sand when I get back just to make sure because I'm not real positive, and I can't really tell by looking at the tank because, like I said, it's got gravel all the way around on the edge. So
Oh, okay. You have any fish in it yet?
not yet. I've set it up, and I was kind of in a hurry. I don't even have my plants planted like I want them. I've got some of them planted together that need to be like separated out and planted individually.
Right.
But I've been out of town for 2 weeks, and I'll probably be getting back in town this weekend, and I'm gonna add more sand, and I'm gonna go and uh, probably add some fish at that time.
Cool. I've got a problem here, and I can't figure it out. Hey, JR.
How you doing, Father Fish?
I'm
Hey,
good.
today.
How are you? I cannot get. I'm trying to get the Facebook channels up, and they're not coming up. They're not coming up live, which seems weird. Why should that be? They obviously are, because I've got people posting. Let's see who's posting. The Jillian 90, Sketty Nana, Freaky Fish Lady, Pennsylvania Fish and Tanks, Vibes Aquatics, The Fish Witch, Smoochy Booch, Grenwood, John S. Vlog. Who else? Monster Fish Cow. Hey, Laurie. Um, Horizon Broadband. Luke, I need help. I don't understand what's going on. Ah, come on up and talk to me.
Well, much
Pennsylvania.
technology.
Pardon?
Too much technology.
I know. That's exactly right. It's a gang of people in here. We got 23 people in here. Who's this? Silver Creek. Did you get things together? Are you going to be able to come up, Silver Creek?
I saw a message from him that he was planning to join us, so
Right. Well, he sees us in YouTube. And I'm opening up my YouTube channel, and it's weird. It's not going live. There's Luke. Try booting it and see what it does. Hey, Luke. How are you?
Hey. What's going on?
Well, it's weird.
Hey.
I'm running three screens.
Uh-huh.
One of them is Discord. One is StreamYard, and the other is YouTube. So I'm trying to get the YouTube Live. Now, you were just on YouTube Live, right? Because you commented.
So I'm sorry, what's not working?
It's not opening up live, and there's nothing in the chat.
On StreamYard?
No, on YouTube.
Oh. Are you on the Father Fish one, or are you on the Natural Aquariums one?
I'm on both of them.
Yeah.
Is
But
that what's wrong?
Well, I was going to say, are you logged in under StreamYard, though, or are you looking at it on the YouTube page?
Looking at, well, both. I got StreamYard on one monitor, and then on another monitor, I've got YouTube.
Well, the YouTube, my guess is you just need to switch accounts back to your main account, and you should see the chat. Get on, switch back to your main account, and go to the screen again. When you posted it, you probably just grabbed onto the National Aquariums one.
It should be on both though, because I'm broadcasting.
The video's on both, but the chat that we're all in is on your.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but it's not showing up on either one. I mean, I never had this happen before. It's like it won't go to.
yeah,
I would just open up the page that you have YouTube open. Just open YouTube again, and up in the top right corner, see which one you're connected to, and then just navigate right back to it.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The browser tab that you have YouTube open in, just go to youtube.com to the homepage there, and navigate back to this stream again from scratch. What was the guy talking about in here about somebody told him to glue sand to the bottom of his tank?
Well, you know, this is some years ago. He was setting up a tank and got real bad advice. He got the kind of advice that says you should never have any kind of substrate, much less sand. And if you insist on using sand, don't do more than a 1/4 inch. You know, that kind of madness.
Yeah, so don't have a saltwater aquarium information
Right,
unless you have, $10,000 to start one.
right. Okay, here's what's happening. I'm in Father Fish YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back. I'm on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
Discord Natural Aquarium Forum. There it is. It says one waiting. It says upcoming.
No, just click on top left over there where it says home. Oh, that's it right there. No, scroll back down.
That's not it.
Yeah, go up. I can't see. It's kind of blurry. There was one that showed that it was live.
Yeah, that's the 24/7.
Oh.
You know what?
No, it's right there. It's that one right there. Click
Yeah,
on
it is. You know what I did?
It's labeled incorrectly.
Right. I went in on the wrong. That's weird.
That's okay.
Doesn't matter, I guess.
RJ's married Paiige tonight.
Right. Well. Madness.
Technology.
No,
Paiige.
stupidity. No, on the
That's
wrong.
an upgrade. Been upgraded.
That's weird.
That's okay.
Doesn't matter, I guess. Now,
RJ's married Paiige tonight.
now I gotta shut the volume off. It's all these little things.
So on that page, when you're watching your own stream there, there's a chat pop up. I'll have to get you set up. I'll have to log in sometime and get the stuff set up for you and show you. But there's a chat pop out which will help you from bogging down from running all these different feeds all at the same time. Well, you should be able to pause it there on YouTube and still see the chat live.
Oh, yeah. There it is. All right, there's the chat.
So RJ, what do you got going on?
Not a lot. Just figured I'd come in and hang out with you guys, see what's new and exciting, find out what we're talking about today, and see if we can cause a little controversy.
Be good.
I think that's
I'm for that.
Right? I mean, people are got to tune in for something.
yeah, need some excitement in their lives.
Right, that's what we're here for.
Just looking at the chat here, seeing if anything's going on. Oh yeah, Grenwood already scoped out this. Go ahead.
Fish. What you up to these days?
What do I have to? Mainly getting a lot of blood work done and trying to get my body put back together in some reasonable way.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing macrobiotics with my daughter. So, I miss food. That's where I'm at. I miss food, but getting healthier every day.
Well, it turns out that I need to start eating steak.
Oh, I remember you said that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Steak's good.
Yeah, or beef anyway. Red meat.
What would drive you to that conclusion?
I've got hemoglobin issues.
Which is totally off my new diet. But go ahead.
I've got iron issues.
So you need iron, so you can get that.
I'm on a supplement. I'm overweight. I've got creatinine, over creatinine. My good HDL is low. All of those things, and probably more. Almost Luke.
But you got to look at it this way. You can also get your iron from kale, but and lots of greens.
Yeah,
The
except
problem you're looking at.
I don't eat greens. I can't chew them.
It's one of those religious things.
No, it's
blend them, make smoothies.
It's a dentition thing.
Oh yeah, but you can blend them and make smoothies.
Yeah, I could, Seminole. I need to buy a blender. That's the next thing I need is a blender. I've got a juicer, but that's not the same.
I have 3 of those juicers. They're wonderful things. Yeah, I love them. You know, my daughter's doing a lot of celery juice now. So her doctor told her celery juice would be good for her.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can make, it's good for you too. You can choose green veggies.
Yeah,
but no, iron thing. My mother would have
don't try to talk me out of the beef thing. I've been eating very little red meat. Maybe once a month I eat red meat.
Wow.
And it's because it's hard to chew. Because I've got uppers and lowers. And I've had them for years. And they bite me back when I bite something hard. So EJ told me I can beat the steak and tenderize it.
Yeah.
Or the beef, whatever.
RJ, we're kind of having the same issue as last time where you're chopping up a little bit. I don't know if you want to turn your video off or play with your settings there.
Yeah, he's breaking up, isn't he?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's raining again. Whenever it rains.
Oh, well.
Whenever it rains, the internet gets weird here.
Here's a good one. The Juliana 90.
That's what I was just going to bring up.
Real, yeah, this is a cool one. I just got dwarf puffers. Their tank has snails. I fed them frozen bloodworms every other day. I've heard that feeding bloodworms makes them lazy hunters. What's your take on that? That's absolutely true. Feeding anything, doesn't matter what, makes them lazy hunters.
I wouldn't worry. You're going to run out of snails sooner or later.
Yeah, really.
But those puffers will get to the snails sooner or later.
Their tank has snails.
Oh, my crayfish that was murderous. I moved it to another tank with a bunch of snails in it, and he was murdering them. And then,
yeah, absolutely.
And then he couldn't molt, and now they ate him. So.
Right. Called karma.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he was cute at first, but
it's funny. So
Crayfish are lovely. I set up an aquarium with them some years ago with about 6 or 7 in a 55-gallon tank. There until you only have one left. As soon as they shed, the others just pounce on them.
Really?
And so the last one to shed is the one that will survive, at least with North American crayfish. Dwarf crayfish, they're cool. You can keep them literally just like shrimp.
That's what I had, but he kept attacking everything.
right.
I found him on the back of one of the guppies and had to beat him off of it, and then he was doing the same thing to one of the dwarf gourami too that was sickly. Now that one I think was actually sickly. I think he just caught the guppy because of its long tail and stuff. So
It was a Mexican dwarf.
yeah.
Only get about less than half an inch long, about
Oh,
half an
yeah.
inch.
Yeah, he was a little bit longer than that. He's probably closer to 3/4 of an inch or something. But he hopped right on the back of that guppy and had him on the ground there and was eating at his fins. They're strong too. I was hitting him with a stick, moving him off, and he didn't want to let go. He was holding on for dear life. So,
Well, wouldn't you if you can't really swim forwards?
That'd be like me hopping on the back of a cow,
Oh dear.
Yeah,
trying to eat it.
riding that killer whale.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought that was ridiculous.
Now I had them in the 3.5 tank behind me. I just threw a couple in, and they just multiplied and multiplied, just like shrimp. But they have more of a personality. I'll give you that.
They're cool. I like them.
And they breed like shrimp. I mean, from my perspective, I had shrimp in the basement at the time, and they were pretty much feed them the same thing. And I was feeding everything worms and little flake food, and they were perfectly fine.
Yeah, if I had a
basically-
bigger tank to put them in, I'm sure they would have been fine. But it was too close to quarters, and they were, he was able to hunt and jump down on the fish pretty easily. So.
Well, I do single species, so I don't know what would have happened if I put a fish in, but
Well, I can tell you, it would have
wouldn't have been good. Okay.
Yeah, you would have went right back to single species.
I know. I must have had about 100 of those crayfish in that 3-gallon tank at some point. They just kept
Holy.
sideways. Hello,
Yeah,
and they
weren't-
unmute yourself and help me break into this two-way tyranny that got.
What's that?
LOF Days, you're muted, and we can't see you.
Boot cut breeding project. Yeah, Father Fish. We need a thing there on Discord for boot cut breeding.
I don't know that that's any better. Happy day, guys. Nice to talk to you.
Hey,
Hi.
well, I put a breeding and husbandry category up.
Yeah, but it has to be boot cut breeding or it doesn't count.
Well, we'll do that as a channel.
All right.
All right. We can do that.
I had a lot of fun with the dwarf Mexican. I guess here they're marketed as the dwarf Mexican lobster down in Florida, but they definitely belong in single species tank. I can't recall which one of you was talking about that a second ago, but they have a mean streak, like half a mile wide and a yard long. That thing it was pretty violent.
Yeah, the
That's-
only
Wow.
one that's worse is the self-cloning one. The self-cloning crayfish that doesn't need to breed in order to multiply. It's
What?
just- yeah, it just
Yeah.
produces girls.
Hmm.
By
Do that.
continuous.
It's actually Achille, the Rivulus, I think it's cubanensis. Someone's going to correct me. No, it's probably not, but it's a Rivulus or a small riv. And it lives actually from Cuba through Florida. It's a marsh fish, brackish. And rare males are very, 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 very rare. They generally just produce female offspring.
Oh, right. I've seen that. Yeah, I know the fish.
I'm just trying to remember what the name of it is, but yeah, I've seen them, you know, and you see it, you go to a fish auction and there's one fish in a bag and you kind of look at it and go, one fish, what am I supposed to do with this? But no, you take them home, throw them in and they lay eggs and reproduce. Yeah.
Right.
Temperature change their genders.
They don't change.
No,
They're not like,
they just have
not like
daughters.
this. There's a saltwater fish, sweet lips. Sweet lips change sex as they get older. They're
Right,
pretty much all born.
So do Nemos.
Yeah, the clownfish do that too.
Yeah.
Now this riv just basically it's produces mainly females, and you know what the hell, you know. They're not pretty. That's the sad part. I've seen them. They need a brackish water setup, so that's a pain in the hindquarters. And on top of that, it's a very unattractive fish. I'd love to know what the male looks like. I've never seen one up close and personal. Maybe that's pretty. You know, who knows? Exists, but they're rare.
Huh.
So, you know, oddly, I'm assuming that my dwarf crayfish didn't get to my mama shrimp because the shrimp are faster. That'd be a pretty good guess there. I just got to thinking, you know, I don't know how they caught the fish but didn't catch the shrimp. Shrimp would be
It's
super quick.
interesting. Well, yeah, they got the fish at night, likely.
Well, you know, you
Yeah.
gotta be careful about those sneaky crustaceans. I once got one of those little
Oh, yeah.
crabs.
Crabs, crabs.
I got a little fiddler crab once, and it could climb the air tube to get out of the aquarium. I would wake up, and we were living in a temporary apartment at that point, and we had a mattress just on the floor. And every now and then, in the middle of the night, my girlfriend would wake up screaming, "There's a giant spider running around!" And
Oh, great.
And
We
he'd go
turned
back
the
to the tank.
he was back in the tank. That was it. He was just
Oh my
in the
god!
aquarium. And then then one day I actually caught him on top of the tank, you know, climbing up, shimmying up and down the airline tube.
Busted.
Do the vampire crabs have the same
that was
propensity?
creepy. I don't know. I've only ever had one that did it to me.
The Thai dwarf crabs.
Oh my.
What do they call them? Spider crabs?
Crabs? They're vampire crab, I think, the purple ones.
Yeah, you can't keep them in the tank either. They're like out and gone. And they'll live for days on the floor. And they are fast. I had them loose in my shop once, and it was difficult catching them.
But you know, I'm always worried about stuff. They say even the dwarf gourami like to jump out of the tanks or whatever, but I don't know. I don't like putting a lid on the tank, even though it'd probably help me with evaporation.
Hey, I don't have.
Do you put them?
Crabs.
I have chilies. I need a lid on everything.
What's the green algae eater crab called? Saltwater.
The emerald crab?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're native to Florida. They do okay because they're an algae eater. But if you look at their pinchers, they're flat on the end. So they use their claws to scrape algae off of a rock. They're not pointy and sharp. If a crab has pointy and sharp claws, then it's looking to tear stuff like flesh of fish.
That does make sense.
Even those fiddler crabs, he'd sit there on a rock fishing at the fish that swam over his head and swiping at him. He wasn't real good at catching any, but he did try hard enough.
The emerald crab. So I have two different saltwater tanks, and well, one of them's my girlfriend. She has like a 5-gallon, and the emerald crab in there is pretty feisty. Anything that comes within maybe 2 inches of him, he swipes at and tries to grab. Doesn't matter what it is. Pretty
He's
funny.
probably
He never gets it.
protecting himself, scaring him away.
I don't know. He seems pretty a-hole about
Aggressive.
it. Yeah.
Okay,
Doesn't seem very scared.
let's see.
Training from a mantis shrimp.
Snoochie Boots wants to know, do you have to rake the surface and disturb it like in a regular sand substrate tank? I thought if it's too thick, it'll cause bad gases underneath, from what I was told. Yeah, these bad gas people. I think they're consumed with thoughts of farting in public.
I was gonna say you typically find these bad gas people at places like Walmart.
They could also be people that have. They could also be people that have dojo loaches, which are well known for acquiring air inside of them and letting it out.
Oh no!
That's funny.
You know something. When you're looking at gas coming out of the tank, a lot of that is like a nitrogen, or it's nitrogen gas, and it's
Yeah,
gases
exactly.
that are supposed to be coming out of the tank. Now, if if you go too deep, there is an issue. If you're going down, someone was trying to set up an aquarium and ran this by me, and they were looking to run a substrate about 15 inches deep, because 15 inches would certainly be better than 3 or 4. And at 15 inches deep, you are going to wind up getting a wild sulfur and iron and all kinds of cycles that is going to create some pretty nasty stuff down there. I mean, if you really go that far down, two things happen. Either you'll get in an area where nothing lives at all, or what does live is going to be not too good. But I don't think that anybody doing a father fish tank normally would want to do it substrate that deep. So, I mean, as long as you're not going over 6 inches, 5 inches, you're not really going to be producing a lot of those nasty gases anyway.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're not water soluble. They just pass through to the atmosphere.
Exactly.
So
right.
you might.
That's the issue.
You might smell some sulfur if your substrate is really that deep, but it's not hurting
Right.
the fish.
First class fishes, reminding us all of my blow by blow of my colonoscopy.
And by the way, one of the tests when as I'm designing a denitrator, one of the things I do test it is it actually does blow bubbles. I feed the fish, and 2 hours later they start blowing bubbles. So that's the plan. They're breaking down nitrates into gas.
That's right. Right.
And being my
I don't seem to have any issue with the buildup on the sand. It seems to cycle. Sometimes there's more buildup on the sand, and then it gets stirred around by the fish or whatever, and broken down, and so
in saltwater,
not too much.
in saltwater on some of the plenum aquariums, Rene Jobert and his people did run across the bacteria actually encrusting the dolomite or the crushed coral and turning it into a brick.
I read about that.
You will get some saltwater anecdotes of you might want to stir your gravel every now and then so it doesn't turn into a solid rock when using deep substrate. But that's only a saltwater thing, and I haven't seen that ever happen in fresh.
So I've got crushed coral, probably 2.5 inches of crushed coral, and I do have the plenum, and then I've got 2 or 2.5 inches of sand on top of that, maybe close to 3. And the only thing that I've noticed is if the coral algae starts growing down the glass, if there's an area that doesn't have enough water flow, it will sometimes try to encroach on the sand. But if
Breaking up. There you
Yeah,
go.
you're breaking up.
I'm breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say that I noticed that, you know, if the coralline algae starts growing down the glass and I have an area of the tank with low water flow, sometimes that will grow right across the smaller or the bigger sand pebbles there or whatever, and it'll harden it up. So sometimes I have to stir it, but usually I just keep my flow enough that the sand is getting moved around a little bit anyways. Just a gentle flow on the sand seems to keep that
I've
from
seen
happening.
heavily calcified sand crust over.
Yeah.
I've had that happen. And
Yeah,
that's
it's-
why it's broken up, because that prevents the
Right.
detritus from getting down into it. So that's why I prefer to use sand rather than crushed coral.
Yeah, and I had to stir mine up, and once I stirred it up and added a little water flow to it, it never did it. I mean, that was a
Right.
couple months in, so it hasn't since. So I just try to keep an eye out for it. If I see the sand start to turn colors anywhere or grow stuff on it. That's in a couple other things. Fresh water. Father was blowing bubbles after his colonoscopy.
Yeah, I saw that. Let's see.
Human condition reigns supreme.
Stellinia is here. Goodness sakes, how are you? And why is it not coming up? Where are you? 740.
Silver Creek is asking, Silver Creek says, how do you feel about using sand cap over at least a 6-month-old gravel substrate that it's had a chance to build up some bacteria?
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
make that out.
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's
2
kinda-
inches of sand. 2 inches of sand on top of an old gravel substrate, and you're good to go.
Right.
Absolutely. Where is this? I'm trying to get back to Stellinia's 743.
I just started dumping in sand this past weekend into a 125-gallon tank that has those larger river pebbles.
Mm-hmm.
And so Father Fish was so kind when he posted up the message, do it slowly and mix it in with the gravel slowly. And so, you know, I tried slowly, but that just didn't work out. So I have a nice white cloud. It's kind of settled back a little bit, but slowly, and I didn't work out very well on the first 50 pounds. I'll see how the second 50 pounds goes in, and maybe I'll figure out slowly. I also thought about maybe taking just like a funnel and funneling it in so that it would.
I was going to ask how you're putting it. And so, were you just tipping the bag over, or what you have
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. But my definition of slowly was I'm just going to clip the corner a little bit, a little.
Oh, so what I do, I don't know what everybody else does, but what I do is I just take a red Solo cup and I dip it all the way in and I pour it out, you know, 1 cup at a time. It's a little slow, but
yeah, so a 50-pound bag, and I'm not necessarily I mean, it was tough to lift up, jet it up over the edge, you know, and then it sort of flopped halfway.
Yeah.
So
It did it all by itself, didn't it?
there you go.
Yeah.
Stellinia,
You are a victim of gravity.
Yeah,
It was just a mudslide.
Something here. I have a poster, a comment that is not on either of my channels, and I'm wondering where he is. We'll see. Could be on Facebook.
Yeah, Silver Creek says he used a 20-ounce bottle. same thing, just something small. You know, that's why the red Solo cups are pretty big, so you're not going to be there for
Yeah.
your entire life. And they're not heavy, and once they get water in them, you can almost pour them out where you want them, and they don't go very far.
Yeah, well, it'll certainly help on this. So for this time, what I did was I was just focusing on like the right third of the tank, right corner of the tank. Is an experimental kind of thing, and then my wife and I really like the way of the deep look, of the river stone, but she's really opposed to sand on the floor. So I tried to not have sand on the floor and get it into the tank. And yeah, wives are very particular about what ends up on their floors. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm a constant violator of that.
You could. So I'm just thinking. This is like every time I touch my tank, something like that happens. So I try not to do stuff like that. Do you have much water flow in your tank?
In that tank, actually, I can walk over to it. In that tank, there's there'd only been 2 sponge filters for the longest time, and then once I kind of mucked up the. Now I have an aqua clear going in there. I'm not sure how visible that is, but you can see the substrate's about 3 or maybe 3 inches up or so, and it kind of runs along. And I was able to get it pretty good up into the back, and then the rest is waiting to be done.
Fine. You made it sound worse than that. It's fine.
Just as a footnote about the aqua clear. The aqua clear, most of them, if you're talking about the power filters, they run the water past the impeller before it goes through the filter. And the problem with that design is that the sand will sandblast your impeller.
That's exactly right.
So you don't want to turn that on until the water clears up.
And they do mess up impellers.
Yeah, so
we had that conversation also. Father Fish was so kind to tell me. He's like, "Oh, it's the grommet is loose." I'm thinking, boy, I bet I've sandblasted the impeller, but I have a stack of those old Aqua Clear 300s, so I'm just swapping them out.
Swap out the impeller. Yeah, it'll actually the sand will cut into the impeller.
Yeah, they scrape up the magnets pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you can use,
I've got a pile of them down inside the cabinet there.
You can use it like the old Supreme Aqua Master or the Frame Magic Magnet drives. If anyone's old enough to remember them, they sucked the water through the media before it went by the impeller. So if you've got a setup like that, you can use those with sand with no trouble. But if you're going to use anything where the impeller is in line before the media, that's not going to be a good thing. You can also use an air drive.
I guess I could also just take a sponge, right, and put a sponge over the intake.
That's why a lot of us have been around a while.
You want
use sponge filters, so we don't have to deal with all the moving parts.
Yeah. When I heard about sponge filters, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's cool."
Really?
At first, I was skeptical, though. I, read about it. I've seen the forums. It's just like the saltwater stuff. People are like, "Oh no, you have to do this. You have to do that. You got to clean them out every week," and blah blah blah. Oh, this is really hard because there's so much misinformation out there.
Oh, I know. That's exactly right.
That's right. I've done it for a while, and I have one. I have one still running.
The difficulty is, I was watching a video of a guy in Australia who has a fish room, and it's probably the nicest fish room I've ever seen, the prettiest tanks I've ever seen, the nicest collection of fish I've ever seen. And he hadn't got a clue about substrate. Not a clue. He has no and he calls his tanks natural, but he's never encountered the whole process of creating a natural substrate. Now, he's been doing fish for nearly 50 years, and he is enormously successful, but he's not doing anything that anybody else ought to copy, because he has spent minimum 25 of those 50 years figuring out how to make it work based on what he wants to do. And you can do that. I mean, you can build your tank with marbles. If you want to learn how to keep fish with marbles, you can do that. People keep fish in bare bottom tanks, and they grow plants in pots. I mean, you
Yeah,
can
I've
do
seen
that.
that.
You can do all the madness in the world, but don't try to teach it to somebody else if it took you 20 years to figure out how to make it work.
Well, you know something? There are things that look wrong, but there really aren't. For example, I know someone who
Putting
did a
dirt
lot of.
in a tank, for example.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, I know someone that you would think that his tanks were pretty bare bottom, but then he had corner filters that were full of gravel. So he had 4 inches of substrate in his corner filter. You know, so you're really, it's not as bad as what it looks like. And I've sat there and I've looked at a lot of systems that shouldn't work. Or these are people that do, you know, a water change every 3 days. You know, again, that'll work.
Exactly
You know?
right.
So
That's my point. You know, they've figured out a way to be able to do things that are not duplicatable.
or specialty,
they're
yeah.
so complicated and so convoluted that it takes years to learn how to do it. And then, you know, I'm my commitment and my concern is for the brand new person. I care less how people who have been around as long as I have keep their fish. You know, I mean, God bless them.
Well,
They're doing it. They're on their way. But the guy is just starting out. He's having trouble. And he's
yeah, and if you're
trouble because he's looking at things that he's not equipped to be able to duplicate.
right. Yeah, and if you're new to the hobby, you're gonna think that you either need a bunch of money. You're just gonna get discouraged from the get go. Things die, things aren't working out, whatever.
Right.
If you have the money and you want to tinker and do weird stuff like what we were talking, a pressurized saltwater tank, just weird stuff. If you want to do something that's expensive, by all means, that's cool. I want to see it and hear about it. But I don't want to hear you tell me that we can't have our aquariums because we didn't spend $20,000.
Yeah, right.
No, you know, at the
In
risk
the
of telling a
definition
little bit
of,
story.
of what's a good. Go ahead.
Okay, at the risk of telling a little story that was told to me by Rosario Lacorte, I'm pretty sure he's the one who told me years ago. It's a story about the 1950s, early 60s maybe. And there was a fella who was bringing discus, wild bred discus, to all the fish shows and all the auctions. And nobody could understand why this guy is breeding discus. He just has them coming out of his wazoo, and nobody else is getting discus to grow, to breed. These were a magnificent color. Well, as the story goes, the fellow was an older gentleman and passes away. And Zai gets called in to go to his fish room and break it down for his wife. You know, obviously she may sell the house or whatever, but she's not going to be breeding discus. So he gets there and he realizes that there's no filter system. That's kind of bizarre. Then he goes and he realizes the water's coming from somewhere and it comes out of a hot water heater. Then he goes and he checks. There's a hose input to the hot water heater, and there's a filter behind there's a big filter. Then he goes and follows the hose out through the wall and down to the Pine Barrens, which is located out behind this guy's house, which is a swamp that is thousands of square miles. And he's pumping the water right out of the Pine Barrens,
Open water.
running it through a filter, running it through a heater, and then pumping it back out to the Pine Barrens. So basically, his filter,
Oh, how
his
cool is
filter,
that?
that is pretty cool.
this guy's no filter system was actually, billions of gallons large. And,
Right.
and he never told anybody how he was doing it. It was his secret. No, I don't have a
Probably
filter.
illegal.
These days,
Yeah,
in the 1950s, there were things
I would
we
say
could
that's
do that we can't do
definitely
now.
boarding.
Well,
Unbelievable.
today it would be.
Yeah.
Probably.
Back then.
It's only illegal if they come check and actually find that, and the chances of them figuring that out.
No, I don't think that's going to be an issue. He's borrowing a little water from the Pine Barrens and returning it. But obviously, his discus were growing huge.
I'll bet you got it forbidden.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
to divert water. Yeah.
I mean, you can't really have better than that, and yet he didn't tell anybody what his special system was.
That's pretty cool, though.
That soft acid water, do you know?
Yeah, it's a marsh. It's literally a marsh that goes on for miles.
A freshwater marsh.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty far inland, isn't it?
It's South Jersey. If you're driving down,
50 miles.
no, it's not that far in.
50 miles.
It's probably about 40, 50 miles in some cases. Yeah, it's South Jersey.
Huh.
It's about as close to you as it is to me. They have those pygmy sunfish there, the dwarf sunfish.
So I have a question that I don't know if I've ever asked and had answered here. I see that you have a whole bunch of floating plants there. I don't know if it's duckweed or what that is. But so what's the deal with that? Should I just let that grow until there's no longer light below it? Should I take some?
Like duckweed?
Well,
yeah, duckweed.
So part of it goes to the question of what's a normal tank or what's a good looking tank. I mean, this is pretty dark, compared to, some of these others are just more clear,
Right.
And when we think about what's a normal tank, I mean, these others here are kind of defined as normal. And I have, my fish room is open 2 days a week to guests. And so I always love to show off this tank. So yeah, what you're seeing right there, that's I don't know if there's a zoom feature on this, I'm still learning, but that's a scarlet batty or baddis that's hunting.
Yeah,
and so
orca around me do the same thing.
Yeah, and so what I've learned or have been learning is that the thicker it is, the more they hunt. But you can see, maybe you can't see too many other lights and the glare, but I'm having a hard time getting ground plants to really kind of take hold in this river tank system, which is a manifold system. So you got the 2 intake filters there, and then I always think this is funny. This is a huge pile of snails. They're on top of algae wafers, and in the back are some Cystiopterus. But I find that the thicker. Yeah, like that, you can see it's just choked in. So plants really have a hard time getting through that. So I'm throwing out, a lot of duckweed.
And that's my concern about that is, like I like the duckweed for that same reason, because they hunt and everything and they're feeding up there. And I assume it also helps prevent you from growing algae on the glass and all that stuff, because we don't have any problems with any of that. But I'm a little bit scared to take too much out of the tank, because if I'm constantly taking stuff out every once in a while, I have to put it back in, don't I?
Yeah.
It proliferates like mad.
Like mad, yeah. You can throw it away, clean the tank, get every last kid out. It'll come back.
Put a goldfish, a comet goldfish, in your tank, and they'll eat it all up. And then
So each one of those little each one of these little specks eventually turns into a 4-leaf clover kind of one. And then when you disturb them, they quickly break up into 4 pieces and you get a billion within like literally no time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this here, I mean, not totally blow it out, but I almost strip this bare every 10 days. And as far back as the eye can see, I've got, just floaters everywhere.
That's the top of mine.
Let me give you the math on that. The duckweed, it multiplies. 1 leaf becomes 2 in 24 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
2 become 4 in 48 hours. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Now, it's worse than that because 1 becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8, 8 becomes 16, your 16 become 32, 64, 128, 256, 5. Within a week, the top of your tank is covered.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And by the way, that crap will stick to your nets. That will stick to anything, and it will somehow just creep from one tank to another until your whole house will be full of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Goldfish really just like.
I've had 2 or 3
So
fish and, like I said, turtles.
Silver dollars, yeah, turtles.
Silver dollars, yeah, they'll eat it.
They'll eat everything else too. But
They'll go after your plastic plants if they can.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you can get
Innuendo.
silver to get rid of. I've got it in all my tanks, and I at some point I'll get serious about getting rid of it.
when someone gave me some plants, some floaters, and I brought them and I put them in an aquarium, and lo and behold, the duckweed just popped out of nowhere. I spent hours trying to.
Right.
I spent hours trying to separate the duckweed. Thank God there was a turtle in the tank. Otherwise, I'd be overrun with it now. I finally just threw all the rest of the seaweed away. It was a shame.
Really?
It was what the hell? I'm trying to remember frog bit. It was frog bit. I wanted the frog bit but I did not want the duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Craig's got a different kind of weed problem if you look at the chat there. So it seems like the fish strip the roots a little bit on the duckweed or the stuff growing in my tank.
Not much.
Well, it seems like I have quite a bit that turns brown. Like the last time I pulled some out, I'd say 1/3 of them were brown, and
whatever's turning brown is getting pushed away from the lights. Duckweed needs light. That's the only thing it needs to survive. If you've got fish in the tank and it's getting light, it's multiplying. But when it gets really built up enough and there's a dark section of the tank, it gets pushed out of the light, and that'll start turning brown.
it looks like the dwarf gourami though strip all the little like hairs off the roots on them. Is what it looks like is happening to me.
Fanatical says get a leaf blower. Actually, I got rid of it once with a shop vac, a very small shop vac with this was a 1-inch hose, and I could hold that right above the water level and get a leaf.
That's a good idea.
It sucked them right out. Worked brilliantly.
All the snails climbing on them too, and
well, no, I didn't get snails. I don't think, unless they were on it.
yeah.
But I got there was a little water if I was not careful, because sometimes but mostly I got all the leaves. The thing is, you can get them all off the water, but it's the ones that are stuck up in the corner.
Yeah.
That are gonna come back again.
Yeah, that's a cool aquarium.
One of them.
According to a plant person, they told me that duckweeds actually bloom and they actually give off microscopic seeds, which is what makes them so impossible to get rid of. When you think you got them all, there's still seeds that can germinate. So
That's
it's
interesting.
supposed to be the world's smallest blooming plant, although I've never seen one actually bloom. So I can't attest to that. But
Well, you know, the red root floaters toss that tiny little, the little white flower in the center of them. I'm wondering if duckweed maybe does the same thing.
Probably.
yeah, I've just
Never saw
always been more
that
concerned with
even in the
getting rid of it.
Did you see the guy on YouTube that his entire pond got covered in duckweed?
You're breaking up.
I said, did you guys see the guy on YouTube that had I think he was actually in Michigan, but anyway, he's got a pond and it was completely covered in duckweed.
Luke,
Can you hear me?
you've got a directional mic, and you're not looking at it.
I'm looking
As soon
at
as,
it.
as soon as you turn your face away from your mic,
Oh, okay. So the
your voice breaks.
gotcha. So there's a guy on YouTube that has a pond completely covered in duckweed. His way of fixing this was to first pump a whole bunch of it out and try to make a huge filter with hay bales. He pumped a ton of it out, several yards of it out, and it didn't even make it down.
That's not working.
That's not working.
Breaking up.
Let me reconnect.
Either that or your it's a volume thing where it's cutting out your voice. Do you have an air pump behind you?
Nope.
Okay, someone's got an air pump. That's probably
You're clear right there.
That's weird.
Yeah, right there. That's about right.
So this guy's got a pond. It got covered in duckweed. He decided he was going to fix it by pumping all the duckweed out into some hay bales. And he pumped out yards and yards of duckweed, and it didn't make a dent. So then he decided that he was going to aerate the pond. So he bought these huge aerators, and he aerated the pond from the bottom while he stirred up all the muck in the pond and killed all his fish in the pond.
Right.
But not the duckweed.
That's right.
That's true. The duckweed was thriving.
Not the duck.
I loved it. Didn't hurt the
You know,
duck.
I had two newbies that I was helping set up their tanks just a couple months ago, and both of them, hey, guess what? Someone gave me duckweed, and I'm like, for the sake of all things holy, don't put it in your aquarium. And neither listened, and now months later, they're still wrestling to get rid of the duckweed. So, it's something. It's a lifetime commitment if you decide to go that route.
Yeah, it's difficult. You need something that'll eat it. That's the bottom line.
What else eats it besides goldfish?
10-cent goldfish, right?
Fish.
Goldfish, turtles, Matinus species.
What was
That's about it.
Gouramis?
No, not most of them.
Ostronemus, maybe.
Maybe.
Silver dollars.
Silver dollars eat anything green.
Right.
That
Waru.
red hook.
Red hook, right.
You guys are. I'm Googling as fast as I can.
Uaru will eat it, and that's a really nice fish. It gets a little bigger. It gets like 6 inches or so, but it's a really nice fish.
These red hooks look like
what else?
UAR what?
UARU. Uaru amphichthoids or something.
Oh, cichlids?
That's a cichlid, yeah.
South American cichlid. It's found.
It's peaceful.
It's a very peaceful, sweet fish. Really nice fish. Got to keep it warm.
It goes along with the like the Severn. It's the size-wise. It's like the larger green or yellow Severn.
Yeah, like a Severn.
And
or a key.
same mentality.
Bigger than a key.
Yeah. Yeah, keyholes are neat.
Well, 12 inches is too big for my 10 gallons, so we need a different
If you want
option.
a goldfish,
You need a 10-cent
get yourself a
goldfish.
comet goldfish. That's about it.
Don't they live forever? What am I going to do with the goldfish afterward?
Eat it.
You don't tell anybody. You don't tell anybody that you put it in a local pond.
Yeah, right.
Let's put it
Oh
that
my
way.
gosh, we had
Word.
a public works director that they were having a problem with sediment in the sewer ponds, and his idea of fixing it was to add goldfish to the ponds. So he added goldfish to the sewer ponds. Well, eventually the sewer ponds were no good. The state came in and made us redo them at our expense, and we had all these dead goldfish because of it too. So it was ridiculous. Like, well, I read on the internet that we could add
To
goldfish
head
to
out,
all of
I
our
just
sewer
want-
ponds. Go ahead.
To be honest, my first goldfish I caught at a local pond. You know, that's where I got them from. They were living there. So that it was a kid. I got my first aquarium and needed fish. Went to the pond and got a small hook and caught some goldfish.
Nice.
So-
I think Fish Face wants to jump in here before. I think he might be taking off.
Is he gone or is he still here? He's trying to come in, I guess. LOF. We lost him. Yeah, Fish Face, say something.
I can hear him.
Oh, I can't. I need to reboot.
Much of it. I thought, oh, it's cool if it grows in there, but I kind of think it killed some fish.
I know Fish Face is talking, but I don't hear him either.
Oh, that's weird. I hear him.
Yeah, I can hear him now. Reboot, RJ.
So
the reason I think maybe
There's got to be some shortcoming
bad.
to this
like a
technology
herb.
because when I do like one-on-one chats
Yeah,
using Discord, I never have a problem either with voice or sound.
yeah, I could explain why, but it's a pain. We have a different system that we use. It's kind of like Zoom, but it would make it a little harder for people to join. So we might try that sometime. I'm kind of waiting for Father Fish to get his new computer first. So-
Because it's
So
kind of odd.
Fish Face was just asking about what kind of plant did he say that he put in his tank? Oh, you didn't hear him probably. I think he said salvia, did he not?
Salvia.
Salvia. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he said he thinks that it killed some fish, maybe.
No.
I've
Yeah.
seen guys be growing it. I've never grown it, but I've seen guys who are fish breeders who bring in bags of this stuff. It's actually a fern. It's not a plant.
Yeah,
It's a fern.
Yeah.
And I've seen bags of it at my club auctions, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. So I don't know that it actually kills anything.
No, that wasn't the.
But it is a fern, if that makes a difference.
Yeah. It's a really high quality
Yeah,
plant.
What else went wrong in his tank that, if you don't mind asking, playing telephone here? What else was going on with his tank that caused this fish to die? Maybe we can help out.
yeah, there could be other things, but
Or what else was going on in the tank when his fish died?
He said there could be other things. He's talking right now. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll wait.
yeah, I did post a video of it, just to kind of. It was something to do with a snail, but my tank did get posted today. That it's happening with that issue. And yes, I've had some issues with that tank, but I've solved them. At least I kind of think, but I changed some things into it.
What kind of
So-
fish, like what happened as far as you said fish died? They got sick or they one by one or all together or what happened?
It was a few, and then it was a few more. It was like 2 and then 3 more. But I did have a leak in my one tank, so I had to put the fish from 2 tanks into 1. I know maybe it was too many, but anyways, it's like a 2.5 month old tank. And I did have some dirt, but then I topped it with sand. So there was some changes. So maybe that has something to do with it. But I'm just.
So he said he lost a couple, and then he lost a couple more, and it's only 2.5
Yeah,
2.5 month old tank. Go ahead, Father Fish.
just no way to know without.
I don't think
looking at
he's not back for me yet.
Could be anything.
He's here. He just his video's not here.
Here in spirit.
It certainly was not the plants. That's not what caused the problem.
So basically Fish Face is telling us 2.5 months old tank has just started dying. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, he said he got it resolved.
Yeah.
What did you do to get it resolved?
Are you able to hear Father Fish?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Okay,
Yeah, I
just
can
making sure.
I
was
can
just
hear
waiting
you.
for
You
this
can hear me. That's it.
Yeah, he was responding to Father Fish's question about what did he do to resolve it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what I had some issues.
How did we
with
get
the
into different? Now you and I can talk, and can they hear us or no?
You need
What
to,
is
I think
That's all.
I think Father Fish and I can hear, or
We're in
Fish
breakout
Face and I
rooms.
can hear everybody, and there's some segmentation going on. Yeah. So did you do a water change, or what did you end up doing to resolve that?
Well, what I
Oh,
meant
I've
by
got
like I
back,
resolved some issues is I had
That helps.
a month and
Or
a half
I'm still
ago.
here. Yeah. You said you had ick.
Yeah, and I resolved that a month and a half ago with some heat and some other little things that I did, garlic and stuff. But then I had some nipping of the one fish, it died. But seems like maybe the 2 tanks going to 1 could have been something I haven't solved yet. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I did a big water change.
Did you say that was a 20 gallon?
35 gallon.
35.
probably ick.
He said that he did have ick, but he thinks he resolved that. So
Is that when you lost the fish? When you were
No.
fighting the ick?
No, I had lost some.
I think he said that was an after issue after the 2 tanks being combined. So when you say you combined tanks, you just added the fish together. Did you take plants and everything, or what'd you do?
My plants, the snails ate all my plants. So I did add pothos from the top. So I did
What
combine
kind of
those.
snails?
And I combined.
What kind of
Was that, did you say
snail?
what kind of snail?
Yeah,
It's a, well, mystery, but there is 2 apples in there.
the apples ate them. Yeah, apples will eat plants down to the root and then eat the root.
I didn't know that.
It's terrifying, actually. This
Yeah,
thing is scary.
mysteries don't. Mysteries are fine. It's about the only thing that you're likely to ever get that's going to eat every single plant in the tank. They're terrible.
They are really cool, though. I do like them still.
Just gotta buy more plants.
Well, it's a better choice, isn't it? You can feed them lettuce or spinach or kale or any kind of leafy vegetable. They like that real well.
They get pothos leaves for now.
That'll kill them. That'd be good.
Oh, okay.
That'd be good.
Oh, well, then maybe that's the issue right there.
There you go.
Oh.
Funny stuff. Who's this? RJ?
Kills the fish. Pothos leaf.
RJ, can you hear us?
Yeah, RJ's talking right now. I don't know what it is between Father Fish and RJ. There's always some like issue where they can't hear each other talk.
Right. We talk past each other. That's what it is. I gotta boot again. It's so hard to get back this because
What?
well, because I'm doing it on
It turns into
I'm doing it
text
on my
talk.
broken monitor, so I have a hard time seeing the screen.
No.
RJ went
Did we
away.
lose? He's back. He just popped back in.
There he is. Is he talking? I can't hear him.
Yes.
All right.
RJ, are you on? I can hear you. Are you on your phone? I'm gonna drop a link in this Discord. If you guys want to try that, I mean, we could see. We have our own video conference thing.
Can you hear me, Father Fish?
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me get a room opened up.
What are we gonna
So
do?
will the pothos kill my fish?
Pardon?
Will a
Say
pothos leaf kill my fish?
No. No, they won't.
But the snail will.
Pothos is toxic to like animals. Like you don't want to ever have a dog chewing on pothos. And you don't ever
Okay.
want to eat it. Because it's got what are they called? Carcinoids or something in it. Colloids.
Yeah. Okay. The reason I'm worried about the salvia
I've never
is
known it to affect fish actually.
okay. But yeah, it's in the herb family, and herbs have like terpenes, and terpenes are kind of like a poison.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not the one that I have. It's known as a garden sage, I believe, and it's I think it's in the sage family.
Nice. Now they work real well. I have a picture.
It's a garden plant. It's not an aquarium plant.
Yeah,
It's a garden.
I've had them overgrow tanks, and they're
No, I think some people smoke the seeds or eat the seeds. It's got a weird effect.
really,
I think it's a pungent plant. Yeah,
huh?
I believe it is. So the root system could even actually the roots I think
Like an
typically hold
alkaloid?
more of the poisons. Yeah, I think it's in the sage family.
All right, I'm not getting RJ. I'm gonna drop off and come back.
All right. If I have to.
I don't see it, Nate, but then I'm like,
Yeah, I got it now. What the hell is that doing there?
So I just sent a link and Father Fish, try connecting on this other one here. We're gonna see if this makes a difference. Just overall, where it's good.
Where did you send
Where's RJ? I sent it to you in direct message. And then it's also in the chat, the room chat.
And then do what?
Switch over to this instead of Discord and see if everybody can hear each other properly for the video and audio.
But then how do I pick that up in StreamYard?
Same way you're doing it right now.
Not exactly.
Exactly. It should be the exact.
This Well, it's not coming up as a link.
Oh, you might have to copy and paste it. RJ, did you get a hold of that link?
I don't want to do it. It's going to confuse us.
I just put the link in
The browser.
Yep, I'm allowing microphone and camera. I'm gonna drop out of this, and I should be turning up in there in a minute.
Okay. Basically,
All right, so I should be over there in a
takes care
second.
of our audio issue. If it does, then we'll get this set up more permanent.
This is so I'm going to jump out of Discord.
Right.
That means nobody else who's in Discord can join the chat.
Well, they can because I added the link. I added the link to the chat that you created for it. Okay. Okay. Okay, Father.
There's three of us.
Who'd we lose?
We lost.
My microphone appears to be. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Fish face.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
We lost.
We can see you and hear you.
Okay, did you get that link, or do you want me to message it to you straight?
I don't think I did get it. No.
I'll send it to you directly here in your direct message. You should have a direct message from me. Okay, so the real question is, so are we still on YouTube?
Yeah. Well, we're still on.
Wow.
We're still on StreamYard.
Oh, well then this works.
So
See how much better this is than Discord? just for the video, audio stuff.
You guys have your cameras off right now?
No.
You know what? I got
Okay, I can't see either of
See
you.
him
I
in
can see
here.
your icons.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. We can see you. Can't hear you. When we hear you, can't see.
Oh no, I can hear you too.
Keeps it in.
We can
Well,
see
I
and hear you.
see him and hear him.
I could see you just a few moments ago, which is strange.
You have to click on anything? I see. To show him, I have to. There.
What's that?
What's that?
Do I actually have to click on the link you sent me, or am I fine?
No, you have to load that link because we are on this other webpage now for the video stuff.
Yeah, give me a moment.
Okay. So I'm gonna jump.
There's an explanation why I can't see you. It says video for Father Fish has been turned off to save bandwidth.
Has been what? Well, it's not
Turned off to save
here.
bandwidth.
What did you say?
I guess the bad weather. I guess the bad weather is sucking at my bandwidth.
Yeah, it seems to be automatically adjusting though, and going back and forth instead of just cutting you out. So,
He said it's cutting me out. Yeah, he's now frozen.
Yeah,
Lost him.
he's probably playing around there. Everything's super clear here on my end now. Fish Face is going to be clicking on and joining. Can someone drop the Discord channel? Yes. Father Fish, can you put that in the chat or no? A link to the Discord?
I don't know if I can or not. Let's see.
I can maybe do it here.
Oh, I can do it. I'm
Okay.
getting there. Why do we want to do that?
There's your buster.
Why don't we just give him this link?
Oh, because he wants to join the Discord. Somebody in the chat is asking for the link
Oh,
to
I
this.
see.
Hello there.
I'm assuming
name
Corey, is your real name Fish Face?
Corey.
Yeah, that's my name.
Okay.
Fish face. You have to make a fish face.
I'm not opening.
Could you maybe, because I'm shaking. Oh, yeah, this is the buster. I just hand it to you.
I can't get the camera to work.
Well,
What are these apple snails?
It's
What do
a
you call them?
apple. It's a real big snail. Some of them get as big as like a hard ball. They're 2-3 times the size of a mystery snail.
That's that a bunch of stuff on the internet kicked me.
Let's see.
We're still having the same issue a little bit. Can you disable your video, RJ? Father
Having
Fish,
fun, yeah.
could you hear him talking or no?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's half the battle.
Let me kill the camera. See if does that help anybody?
Yeah,
Oh.
we can hear you, and
Maybe?
he can
Yeah.
hear you
Why
now.
is he on 2 screens now?
He logged out and logged back in. It'll disappear after it times out.
I don't know what's going on.
Or you can kick the other. Well, I can kick the other one.
Yeah, so those apple snails, if you can hear me.
Yeah,
I
I
got
can hear
you.
They're
Yeah,
there's a reason they call it a mystery snail, because sometimes you get a mystery apple instead.
Well, it's just identification.
that's weird. That seems
It's rated by size only.
to say that in your
there's a
No,
giant
it's
apple
totally
snail
different.
about the size of a golf ball.
Different animals.
so
I'm getting an echo. I probably
Yeah.
need to.
We are getting an echo. I might have accidentally bumped RJ. Hopefully he's smart enough to refresh the page there. I think it was Corey possibly, because I'm not hearing the echo anymore. So, apple snail. Somebody said in the chat that mystery snails eat the roots and stuff too. Is that true?
Yeah, I said
Oh, okay. Silver Creek was talking about it too.
right. All right, I finally got a link for Discord.
All right, RJ's back. Sorry, RJ. I accidentally kicked you instead of your spare one. Here, the other link.
Well, thank you.
Just trying to make your life easier.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
That's what my wife keeps telling me. She's just trying to make my life easier.
Yeah. As far as so in the chat they were talking about jerky video. Father Fish has a new computer that'll be there Wednesday, and that should take care of the smoothness of these videos and stuff. So
That never hurts. New technology, something else to go wrong, something fun to learn.
at least if you drop this, you don't have to worry about breaking the screen.
Snoochie Booch wanted to know the purpose of how a deep sand bed works, its benefits. I have one tank, the sand substrate with rams, but it's only half-inch deep. So you haven't started to learn anything. I'm not going to explain it because I've got over 1,000 hours of videos explaining it. Go to my YouTube channel. You'll find groups of videos explaining deep substrate.
Yeah,
It is why it works.
Yeah,
and so forth.
So the purpose of how
That was like, oh,
yeah.
yeah. He had the army outfit on. He was at
What's that?
We're here to give
Is it
the background of Corey's
Oh,
stream.
Corey?
Yeah. So
There's a lot of people talking behind us.
Yeah, Corey, mute your mic.
There we go.
this mystery snails eating roots is a very rare occasion. If they're fed and supplemented, they probably won't ever go after your roots, says
Well, I agree.
Silver Creek.
I agree. That was
The only things that mystery snails will eat are your fish eggs, though. If you're breeding fish, it's not a good.
That's true. Yeah.
It's not a good snail in terms of breeding. But the snail you really want is the pond snail, the giant Japanese pond snail. It won't eat any plants, and it won't eat any eggs.
The trapdoor. Is that the one?
Trapdoor. Yep. It will not eat eggs. It will not eat plants, but it will eat algae.
Yeah.
That's the one you want if you have a choice in life.
So the interesting thing that everybody always brings up, they say, oh, everything's fine as long as it's well fed. It becomes a gray area if you don't feed enough. They start to eat everything else. If you overfeed, it ruins the tank.
Yeah, that's why we developed the food web.
Right.
In order to be able to have a source of living organisms in the tank that small fish at least can feed on. Big fish, any fish, let me put it this way, any fish that's 6 inches long has enough body fat, if it's a healthy fish, to live for a year with no food of any kind.
I won't buy. I won't go along with that. Some, but not. There are fish that really have fast metabolisms,
I'm
and
not talking about saltwater fish. That's
maybe.
that's a whole other thing.
Okay, marine betta. I'll give you marine betta. That we've had those that didn't eat for 4 months after we got them, and they didn't sizably shrink.
Right.
But there are like lionfish. They'll fold up on you if you don't feed them pretty regularly.
Saltwater fish. That's true. That's a whole different thing. Their metabolism is much faster, but freshwater fish can slow their metabolism down to almost zero.
I believe I've starved a few fish.
Yeah, no, you can. No, I'm just saying it depends on the fish. There are fish, if they're highly active, very active fish, they can't do it. But yeah, some can. You're right. I've seen fish that can, lungfish, for example, they live without food or water for maybe over a year at a time. So,
right. Well, any of the Central American cichlids, these are the bigger cichlids. Once they get up to a certain size, they build body fat, and they can live on those body fat reserves.
I'm not going to disagree with you in general. I'm just going to say that it depends. It goes fish to fish, and you should know what fish you're doing it with. I wouldn't just say there's a rule either. You know, it's not something I disagree with.
I'm not suggesting people feed their fish once a year. What I'm saying is far too much is made of fish being hungry, when in point of fact, they're overfed.
Right. That's true. We love to feed our fish. In general, so anything that's pounding its nose against the glass wants to be fed. So you feed. That's just who we are.
We have a neighborhood cat that comes over.
That is an overfed fish.
Yep,
fish
it is.
Coming to the glass for food is overfed.
Yeah, no, unless you're breeding to sell and you want them to grow really fast, do a lot of water changes, do a lot of feeding. Once you get them in your home aquarium, you typically
if you're starting with baby fish and you're grown up baby fish, you need to feed them 6 times a day. I mean, they need to have food constantly in front of them. That again
Right.
is the benefit of doing a food web, because you can
Right.
get that kind of food in front of the babies. A baby fish, some of them like the killies. Some of those killies, if they've been in an egg for months, when they
Hmm.
hatch, if they don't have food in their belly in the first 15 minutes, they die.
Couple hours, but yeah, you're going to start losing them pretty quick after they're born. They've used up all of their nutrition. You know,
Right, they got
there's
nothing left, right?
tetras can last a couple days while they develop outside of the egg, but
Well,
killers are
yeah,
born
but
fully
once they
formed looking
start
for food.
swimming, that's when they gotta have food.
Yep, as soon as So I mean, but you're right. Once you get the fish at home and you don't really want them growing a lot, you probably put them the size you like them. So you don't have to necessarily be feeding them as much as someone who's breeding them did.
What about a minnow that gets smaller and smaller and looks so skinny it's about to die?
It's underfed or it's sick. That's basically it. It's underfed or it's sick. There's no, that's pretty much it. Or it's getting really old. Old fish have a tendency to also thin out. Old anything has a tendency to really thin out.
Makes me sad. Makes me think I'm doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Okay, look, what I tell people is this, all right? Your fish should look healthy. Healthy is not bulbous, but you should have a smooth transition from the back of the head where the skull is to the body. That should be smooth. That shouldn't look hollowed out either way, front to back, especially head bigger than the body.
They should not look like a balloon.
Right. And the belly should be relatively smooth and the fish should be active. If the fish is not active, if your belly looks collapsed, if you're getting the head looks bigger than the body, you're not feeding enough. Okay, that's in the father fish forums, we have people who take father fish very seriously and very religiously, and they go overboard. And they don't feed their fish for weeks at a time. And that's not what he's saying. Basically saying don't overfeed, but he's also not saying don't feed them.
I think my main problem is that Danios eat all the food over the other non-aggressive
Okay,
fish.
but the Danio poops that food out within 2 hours after having digested 10% of it. The 90% of that food value is still there, and the other fish are picking it up and re-eating it. That food gets eaten a half a dozen times before it is depleted.
Well, if he's got fish, like I had a woodcat some years ago, and it would not eat because there was other fish in the tank, and it was that reclusive. It literally just laid under a rock and starved to death, and the thing was 6 inches long. And it just got smaller and smaller and smaller and starved to death. There was nothing wrong with it, but it wouldn't come out and eat when any of the other fish were active. So, you can get that where you have more, you've got fish that'll eat all the food and then something will starve to death. That will happen. I mean, in a community tank, but then you have to balance your community tank to avoid that.
Usually it means they've got a parasite or there's something physically wrong with it.
Seems so. Yeah, because the rosy red will actually beat up the Danio if it's big and strong, or bully it back.
Well, if it's competing for food, then it should be getting enough. If there's enough food there in the first place, it's getting enough if it's competing for it.
The big ones will, not the tiny little fragile thing. So maybe it's a different thing. But
well, no, then one of the things you got to do is you can't. I don't do community tanks, but I did them for a lot of years.
Yeah, you can't mix everything.
You can't just put a fish in a tank and go, well, they're going to get along because I put them in there. Sometimes you just have to go, well, these fish can't be with those fish. You know, the neons and the Oscars don't always get along. You know, I mean, it's just the nature of life. You know, I've had weird fish get along. You know, where you look at it and you go, well, that's a predator and that's prey, and you know, it's supposed to be a feeder fish, and it lives happily with its predator for, you know, months and months. Doesn't always end well, but it will work for months and months. But then sometimes you have to look at it and say, you know, if I've got all these aggressive feeders, I've got all these danios, and then I've got these other fish that are waiting for food, or they want a different food. You know, you have to address that. Sometimes you have to separate them and set up tanks especially for them. You know,
Yeah, I've been trying to just buy the ones that seem to eat the pellets when I put the pellets in. So I've been trying to direct it, and it seems to be going okay there. But I had a molly, a high fin molly, that just fought with the swordtail. They just fight like crazy. I think the one died. Yeah.
Corey, did you say that you have a dirted tank, right?
Correct. I had 2 dirted ones and one that was like store-bought dirt. But now I have 2 dirted tanks, but one's kind of not just store-bought.
Are they sand capped then?
Correct. I use pool filter sand, which does look like little rocks rather than sand. You can see it in a video I posted. But yeah, it's sand, and I really took out the small particles. I really cleaned it good.
Gotcha. I was just curious. I couldn't remember if anybody had asked that or if you had mentioned it.
That, by the way, is another interesting thing. What you might get as pool filter sand in your part of the world is like the opposite of what I get. You know, I mean, I asked
I've
pool
heard
filter.
that. It surprises me. I was talking to somebody. They said their pool filter sand is really dirty, and that didn't make sense to me at all because that's going in swimming pools. Why would they put dirty, unwashed sand in a swimming pool?
I asked for pool filter sand, and I got a bag of play sand. But okay, it's what I needed. I needed sand because I was doing a setup at the time, and the stuff came out almost as fine as silt, and it's perfectly clean. I mean, you pour it into a tank, it sinks to the bottom, and the water is clear in 20 minutes. Never saw anything like it.
Nice.
And it's labeled play sand, which you figure would be a lower grade of sand.
Yeah.
So, but it's white. You know, white play sand. And
well, you know, it really depends on who's mining it.
That's what I was getting at.
It depends
on, it depends on what part of the country you're in, because for us, you know, all the sand that we get is basically just processed beach sand or dune sand or whatever from where we're at. They're not going to haul sand all the way from here down to Texas in a bag and sell it. It's going to get bagged and sold locally, semi-locally for the most part when it comes to the construction or pool sand type stuff. The aquarium sand stuff, I guess, you know, they ship out.
Mine's very local. Yeah, it's
a lot of the cheaper sand is yellow. You know, yellow sand is the cheapest sand I can get. It's also pretty fine, but it's yellow.
Yeah.
You know, so it depends, I guess, on what you like. I wanted the white and paid $1 more for the bag.
See,
but they had yellow by the ton, $45 a ton.
Our sand is pretty. If you dig it out of the ground, yeah, it's relatively yellow. But the play sand and stuff that you get here at the hardware places has quite a bit of very small stones in it or pebbles. Really, really small, and then it's got a decent amount of it's got a decent amount of clay in it too. It almost looks like really fine river sand or something.
When up in North Jersey, we ordered a truckload of sand, and this stuff came out gray. It came from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Do you
know what green sand is, RJ?
Yes, I do. It was used a lot of years ago for breeding Nothobranchius in, but it messes with the pH of your water. It does.
That's mined in New Jersey.
Yeah,
There are
green
only
sand.
2 places in the world you can get it. The other one is in Russia, I think.
Yep, and I've never worked with it, but I know guys that did. It had a it'll raise your pH though. If I remember correctly, it'll bring your pH and your hardness up. So that's what.
Well, it's an ancient seabed.
I was gonna.
Yeah,
What
stuff.
makes it green?
I don't remember.
yeah. I mean, it was popular before. And I'm going to say this comically, but it was popular about 5 or 6 years before I got in the hobby.
Yeah,
Of
I want
killing.
to get some.
So that would be what, the 1990s, early 90s, that it made it the rounds and everybody was breeding killies in it. And then,
Right,
you know, if you had really soft water, it would work for you. But if you didn't, it started messing with your pH and stuff.
I never
Yeah.
used it.
All right, I've got to Google it because now I'm curious.
Green sand. It's
Green sand, Jersey green
it's
sand.
mined in New Jersey. Right
I went.
above the Pine Barrens. I think.
Pertrell, Jersey green sand.
Yep, that's it.
This iron potassium silicate is mined from natural deposits in the Garden State itself, New Jersey. I gotta click the link. That was just the.
Yeah, no, it comes from New Jersey.
Oh wow! It looks like it's got copper in it. It looks like oxidized.
Yeah, it's green.
Yeah, it's green, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I said, I went out looking for it because it was still in use, and I came across something called Estes, colored sand. It was black sand, green sand. I went with black, and I breed my nothos in it. But it's inert, so I'm happy with it. You know, I use the Estes black sand. I don't know if Estes is still around, but that's what I've been using for years, and it works a treat because nothos like. I know someone who went to Africa and actually saw where they breed, and they look for like muddy flats, black sand, or black dirt under trees or under roots.
Yeah.
And that's where they'll lay their eggs. And you know, he was a relief worker in Africa, and he used to pay the kids to dig up the soil, and he'd fly it back to Belgium.
Wow.
And then he would hatch the eggs and see what happened out of it.
Cool.
Now, what happens is, remember, these are relief airplanes that came with food for Africa, and they flew back empty. There's no reason for these airplanes to fly back empty when he could put mud, you know, dried clay in tubs and ship it back to Belgium for himself.
So I'm reading about this green sand. It says naturally occurring iron potassium silicate has a consistency of sand but is able to absorb 10 times more moisture, making an exceptional soil conditioner for pastures, fields, lawns, orchards, fruits and vegetables, and all that good stuff. The only known place of origin, New Jersey, deposited millions of years ago. Benefits are unexplainable. Apparently, they don't know much about it. They suspect that all the mineralization is why people like it for plants and for vegetables and soil and stuff.
Yeah, I want to add it to my supplement.
It says it's very dense. It says
Right.
It seems nice, like Carolina or something.
I need to order some. I can
90
probably drive up and get it. I'm only a few hours.
90
Yeah,
pounds
you're not
per
that
cubic.
far from it.
Pardon?
I just said it was 90 pounds per cubic foot is what it says weight wise. So that is quite heavy.
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Water is 40 pounds a cubic foot. So it's twice as dense as water.
Yeah. I think the bags of sand that we get, so the bag of sand that I got, it was like 50 or 60 pounds for 1.5 cubic feet, I think is what's in those bags. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So it's
I
twice
won't
as
guess.
dense. Well,
Heavy sand and
But,
you fill
you
your
know,
tank with heavy water, right?
yeah, right. I'm gonna get some. I hadn't thought about that for a while. That'll be worth a trip. I'll come visit you, RJ.
Sounds like a plan.
I
It's a
wanna
bit
get-
south of me, but it's north of you, so it's somewhere in the middle.
Exactly, right. I want to get some of your
There's actually parts of New Jersey that are closer to Father Fish than to me.
right. You know, like
You know. But no, seriously, it's the only thing I remember because I did look into it is some of the guys who actually used it did say it had that it was not inert and that it would play with your water parameters.
well,
And,
a lot of minerals.
you know,
So probably some of those minerals are gonna dissolve out. But that'll work.
No,
That'll work perfectly.
this website, not to change the subject but before I lose this here, this website sells the green sand, 4 pounds of it for $7.
4 pounds. It's a little dear, isn't it? I need to go up there. Where are they located?
That I don't know. I'll send you a link here to these guys, but these guys are probably buying it from somebody. So
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, go fill your truck.
this is New Earth Organics and Hydroponics, and I would suspect that
Well,
they're
not
buying it.
I need to get
by the
some
time.
minor. I was in touch with them a year or two ago, but there was no way to get it down to Florida.
Well,
Dynamate-
Not in volume.
these hydroponics guys are willing to ship it for the right price.
Yeah, really. They're- It's getting known as Sam. What about Dynamate Earth? That's another one that's really interesting. I use it. I use it in my mix. It's actually it is a fossilized.
Is it fossilized plankton or something?
Yeah, but it's a specific kind. What is that stuff called?
I use it in my vortex filters. I use it in the diatom filter. That's about the only
Right.
place I've ever used it for. I've got a box of it in the basement for decades.
It's a tiny little, what is that stuff called? It's a little round microfauna.
Diatom.
It's a diatom.
It's literally called a diatom.
Right.
It's a diatom, yeah.
Okay. It's an ancient diatom that has been replaced with lime, I think. No, not lime. Calcium, not calcium.
No, it's I think the actual shell.
No, it's not. It's fossilized.
Okay.
I went-
Oh,
I thought it was
yeah,
just a shell.
It is fossil. It is this. Well, the shell's been fossilized, which changes the
the mineral content.
right.
So it's no longer calcium. I always thought it was calcium. And then I got smacked upside the head by somebody who said, no, it's
I almost said
fossil."
calcium too, and I was like, no, I know that's not right.
Yeah, it's not. It's not calcium. But I use it because it has remarkable physiological properties. It's a microscopic granule full of holes. So it
Right.
holds an inordinate number of bacteria.
You can use it to dry out insects and stuff too,
Right.
ants and stuff like that.
Highly
It will
absorbed.
it'll filter submicron. That's the nice part about it.
Down to a
If you want it, you
that's
can
right.
literally filter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
don't-
can
don't
literally
inhale.
filter green water, green out of the water.
right.
You know, I mean, I've used it to get rid of green water.
No,
It's
it's
about the
not
only time
green.
I've ever used it.
It's
And
much too fine to be gritty. It's not gritty.
yeah, no, it'll take. No, I'm just saying it'll take green. If you put it in a vortex diatom filter, it'll take the green out of your water in minutes. Within
Really?
2 hours, your tank is crystal clear. And if you ever seen an aquarium, Father Fisher has seen them, I'm sure. That's run off a diatom filter. The water is so clear, the fish look like they're floating in
Oh,
air.
yeah.
It's spooky.
It looks
So
it's like
It looks like
cool.
floating in air.
it's like a well-established father fish deep substrate tank. Crystal clear water.
If you
Close. But without, I mean, it takes the tannins out. It takes everything out. The water just becomes invisible.
Yeah.
And that's
isn't that, like, not what you want.
It's amazing. I don't know, but it's a cool effect. Really, I was shocked. I went from green to where did my water go, and where my fish are. You know, how are my fish suspended at that time? You know, so it was a
Well,
shocker.
that's a good idea.
So-
For a temporary filter, you know, when you do something like what he said, he accidentally dumped the whole bag of sand or whatever, and you're wanting to clear the water.
Don, you're clean.
Yeah.
You're clean. You know, but it's I think Father Fish told me the company that makes them is out of business, so they're gone. But you know,
Yeah,
it was
gone.
and I still have
Burned
mine, but
They burned down and never rebuilt. It was a few years ago.
the problem was it uses a motor that's very similar to the one that you used that Supreme used
That's
for their
exactly
piston
right.
pumps, the air
And they
pumps,
wound up
and for their filters.
Yeah.
And those things are about
yeah,
they were about 45 to 55, 65
Right.
watts.
yeah.
I like my back filter.
Of
I can
late,
clear that sand
get
with the
these
back filter
ones.
too.
I
They've
bought
never
a
played around too
couple-
You
much.
mean hang on the back?
Yeah, hang on the back.
Yeah, the problem is that you can't clean the sand with the modern hang on the back because the sand goes through the impeller before it hits the filter media. We were talking about that before.
Yeah,
Oh,
Now, if you have an antique hang, then you can do it. You have an old, magic magnet drive, or if you have a Supreme Power Master or whatever, those you can do it, but you can't do it. Otherwise, the sand will clog your the modern hang on the backs. If the water hits the
Yeah, I have,
impeller
like,
before it hits the media,
customizable
you're going to
outlet
damage the impeller.
So I can put what I want in that thing.
Yeah, but it only filters one. No, the sand has to go through the filter before it goes by the impeller, and the Aqua Clear won't do that. Unless you put, like, I guess, a sponge filter, on the pickup, that might work.
Oh yeah, I did do that.
And it's
Yep.
going to block up the sponge.
Okay, my
Of
iPad's at
course
1%, so 1% means that I'm out of time. It's
Oh,
good
okay.
talking.
Well, we need to go. We've been here a couple of hours.
Yeah, good talking with you guys.
I'm a student.
Yeah, it's fun.
Jesus.
Same here. So we'll keep this link, Father Fish, and you can repost this and use this as needed.
All right.
So.
I got to figure out how to get it to
Yeah, this seems to work.
so we can have people coming up.
Yeah, we just got to post it in the same place that you post the Discord deals. So,
All right, guys.
alrighty, it's good talking, everybody.
Yeah, have a good night. Bye.
Okay, take care now, guys. Bye-bye.
All right.
Got to figure out how to sign off. Leave the meeting.
I can.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Leave meeting.
I'm going to do it. Right, here we go. All right. What's today, Monday? Be back Wednesday morning with Mary Paiige. Thursday or Friday. We'll do another one of these. When did we do it? Thursday. We'll do another one of these, a Discord stream on Thursday. Saturday we'll be here with EJ, and Sunday evening with Mary Paiige. We got 2 days, Tuesday and Friday. Thinking about doing a morning stream Tuesday or Friday, so we can chat with some of their friends from the other side of the earth when they're not in bed. So we'll see you all. Have a nice week. See you all Wednesday. Bye for now.